tremendous divide today, more so than I have ever seen. The young women are woke. They do not want families. They do not want men. The men are choosing to go more conservative. They do want families. They want to get married. They want to find women. How does this work? They're looking for women and the women are saying, no way. Now, I was on Instagram because I'm on all the social media. I was on Instagram and I saw this woman write, oh, male suicides. Well, at least she was knowledgeable enough to know that that's a major factor. Oh, male suicides. And she had a little teardrop coming down. And another woman wrote, the rates aren't high enough. And I couldn't believe my eyes. So then 7,000 women tuned into that and liked that post, that the men's suicide rates are not high enough. I was absolutely crazed. So I went on TikTok and I showed everybody this Instagram post with 7,000 likes, with these women saying it ought to be higher, the rate of suicide for men. And I received, because TikTok is heavily male, and it went viral, almost 70,000 likes and hits, and men started to talk. This is what has happened with the women shutting the men up and putting them down. The men have been silenced. They won't speak. And then the women complain, well, he doesn't communicate. Well, why should he communicate with you if you're just trashing him all the time? You cannot cancel that which you want to communicate with. And you say you want to communicate with these guys, but it's obvious you don't.
I want to ask you, we all know the birth rates are down all across America. In your opinion, why is that?
I think that's already been answered. They're not getting together.
They can't get together. The men want to have families. The women don't. And the women are even wishing death on men.
Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today. Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian...
The views and opinions expressed by hosts and guests on Patriots with Grit do not necessarily reflect those of Patriots with Grit LLC, its founders, and owners.
Get ready for truth bombs and guidance from conservative leaders and entrepreneurs from God-fearing, freedom-loving, truth-telling, patriotic Americans. Welcome to Patriots with Grit. Now let's jump into today's episode with your host, Darren Ross.
America's families are under attack, men are being weakened, boys are being confused, and culture is collapsing on purpose. Today, Patriots with Grit brings in Dr. Gilda Carl, the outspoken voice, fighting back with truth, strength, and common sense.
If you're tired of the woke wrecking ball, this episode's your ammo.
There's 3 types of gases in the body: oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitric oxide. Cardio Miracle is your advanced formula nitric oxide booster and provides you essential support for increased vitamin D3 and blood flow and oxygen, cellular health and reproduction, improved cardiovascular health, enhanced energy and clarity, and it supercharges your sexual stamina. So start reclaiming your health today and increase your energy, stamina, and focus. Go to cardiomiracle.com, enter discount code GRIT. That's cardiomiracle.com, discount code GRIT. Take advantage of this awesome product and start feeling better today. cardiomiracle.com, discount code GRIT.
Dr. Gilda Carl, From teacher in the South Bronx to international media personality, author, keynote speaker, and product spokesperson, Dr. Gilda guides all our relationships. Professional relationships,
Whenever there is a problem with the bottom line, it is always because of some interpersonal relationship.
personal relationships,
I'm crossing over the boundary into your boundary.
Oh, that's fascinating.
parental relationships,
I have more dads coming to me and saying, I want that book, Don't Lie on Your Back for a Guy Who Doesn't Have Yours. I want more of that for my daughters.
dating relationships,
Keeping it casual, where would they sit?
90 degrees is always a safe bet.
and our most important relationship, the one we have with ourselves.
Know who you are, show who you are, and let everybody be proud of who you are.
Bullies and bad boys, beware.
Gannett News named Dr. Gilda TV's #1 talk show therapist.
If you had the heat once, you can always get it back.
Gannett said she's hotter than the Sahara,
An erect sexual apparatus does not make you a man.
part philosopher,
The love lesson in this is we attract not who we want, but who we are.
and part stand-up comic.
Ladies, Mama was right. Why should he buy the cow if he's getting the milk for free?
Yet she shares her own vulnerability.
How a relationship can end with seemingly no warning. It happened to me. I chose to think that things were going well.
Informative, entertaining, engaging, exciting.
Wouldn't we all love to have breakfast at Tiffany's?
Yeah, I'm waiting for my invitation.
Me too. That and the Oscars. Where's that?
Dr. Gilda, applying her South Bronx street smarts to your screen.
Well, hey there, Gilda Carl. It's awesome to have you on our show here at Patriots with Grit. Randy, she's a New Yorkan, former New Yorkan turned, is it Arizonan or Arizonian, or how do you pronounce that, Gilda?
A New Yorker, and it's from and I'm an Arizonan.
Well,
now.
there we go.
I think she made the right move, Randy, by going from that side of the country to where she is now, don't you?
I think New York's falling apart.
I think it's going to fall apart a lot worse. I really knew it was called a New Yorker. I just had to say that at the beginning, Gilda. So anyway, we want to say thank you so much for joining us today. We didn't know what to think, Randy, when we got a former New Yorker on who has been in entertainment. She's been on TV. She's written she's author of 19 books, you know.
That's astonishing.
That's
in itself.
astonishing right there. That's probably more books than you've read, you know. But anyway, I had to just get that little jab in on Cousin Randy. But, you know, you are a spokesperson for the International Council for Men and Boys. You've got a brand new book out called Real Men Don't Go Woke. And coming from a woman from New York, I'm anxious to hear this, Randy. So, Gilda, welcome to the show. Talk to us a little bit about how you made that transition from this side of the country to where you are now. What made you get out of entertainment, get into being an author of so many books, and writing a book about wokeness and men.
Okay, I've written so many books. I was the love doc on MTV. I was on every show imaginable, from Dateline to Howard Stern, Sally Jesse Raphael. I mean, I was on all of daytime, and I was being called in to do news shows, etc., etc. We never spoke about politics. So this was something that put on the back burner. Nobody cared. Nobody was interested in what our political bent was. And we just did our shows. And there were people out there who depended upon daytime television to save their lives because they did not have access to therapy and relationship experts and any kind of expertise. So these people from all over the country came on these talk shows. And I know that I saved a lot of marriages, I saved a lot of lives because I was on television. I was doing so well that 20th Century Fox called me in one day and said, "We know that people don't turn the television off when you're on." And I said, I didn't really know the business. I was just having fun. And I said, oh, so in other words, if I had 3 heads, it wouldn't matter? It would not matter, they said. It would not matter. You get people to stay on television. So they said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you your own television show, the Dr. Gilda Show. So I said, I don't have an entertainment attorney. I don't even have an agent. I'm just fun. I'm having fun. And that's how it just kept expanding. Every time I was on, the ratings were high, and the network said, we can make money off this. So, and I became a commodity. And so I did a pilot for the Dr. Gilda Show. The guy who was a Hollywood mogul said, let's go with this. And then he suddenly died. And all his shows, this is Hollywood, and all his shows fell apart. And I said, what am I going to do now? But I kept getting called to do every single show imaginable, news, entertainment, whatever it was, Inside Edition. I mean, everything. And I wasn't talking about politics. And then Joy Behar, she and I had been on many different shows together. And she said, look, if you want to stay on television, because the talk show industry is going down, you have to talk about politics. And I said, I'm not a politician. I am a healer. And she said, well, it doesn't matter. You have to talk about politics. And then she started bad-mouthing George Bush and all these. I said, I don't even know about these people. I don't get involved with political things. So I came out to Arizona. And I've been living here for about 8 years. And before then, I was going back and forth doing television shows and coming back to Arizona and enjoying nice people, magnificent weather. And I couldn't believe how calm they were. They weren't beeping their horns at each other. I went into a supermarket and I said, excuse me, where are the oranges? And the man said, oh, let me show you. I'll walk you over to them. I said to one of my friends, I think they're crazy here. I've never been treated this way. Well, no cursing out, none of that. I said, I don't believe this is so different. And I became very used to people saying hello on the street. You try that in New York, you'll get stabbed. And recently, one of my friends came out to visit me, and he said, look at you, you're talking to people on the street you don't know. I said, everybody does here. We're really friendly. He said, if I tried this in New York, oh my God, I don't know if I'd be alive. I said, yeah, I've gotten very used to this. So I love the environment here. The media is nothing like it was in New York. I miss that. I miss it because it's not as sophisticated and well put together as New York media was. There is nothing like New York media. But I was so well trained that I came here and I said, I'm going to write a talk show. And I did. And I called one of my friends who was in command, the third in command at CBS International. And I said, I've just written a talk show. You want to look at it? She looked at it and she said, I want to produce it. I said, great. And then COVID happened. So
you have bad luck, Gilda.
Well, I think I have good luck, actually, because everything happens for a reason.
There you go.
And one of my Gildagrams is when something happens to you, it really happens for you. And had I gotten the jobs that I thought I should have when I was younger and all of those things, I would have had a different life entirely. And I am just where I should be right now. And I finally accepted that. So I don't know what's tomorrow. I keep getting offered all kinds of talk shows. I'm not ready to accept any of them because I am comparing everything to the great New York media that I came from.
Mm-hmm.
But I've taught a lot of people here a lot of things about media that they didn't know. And I suspect, based upon all the invitations I am getting now to do another Dr. Gilda show, I suspect that that's in the offing eventually. So we'll see. It's up to God. I don't know. I just follow what I'm hearing through the ethers. So that's how that. Don't forget, I started out my whole career as a teacher in the most horrendous area in the South Bronx.
Wow.
That was the kids were murderers. They were rapists. They were and I had them writing poetry. I wouldn't take no for an answer. One of the kids came up to me. I'll never forget this. He said, "You know that gold chain you're wearing around your neck? I pull those things off people's necks on the street." And I said, "Well, here's one person you're not going to get near." And he said, "Oh, really? Really?" But you know what? This is God's grace. I was teaching them language skills, and they were teaching me street smarts. And then I was grabbed to do, I was teaching, I got my doctorate very early, and I was teaching college students at night who were coming back for their college degrees. And the college students were all in business. And one after another said, "You ought to come to my company and do training." And I said, "Oh, okay. Tell me who to talk to." And then I started a whole management consulting training business because I was in such demand. But it was the South Bronx street smarts that took me away. And I was teaching executives from Fortune 500 companies how to have street smarts. And now we're looking at a commander in chief who has those street smarts. And I'm very familiar with the stuff he does. I'm very familiar with his choreography. I watched him, I knew him, and I saw, and I prayed that he would become our next president. And I'm so glad that my prayers were answered.
You helped us out.
I did what my heart told me to do. I wasn't part of groups. I wasn't a joiner. I just did my own thing. Got into trouble occasionally because I have a big mouth, but I had the street smarts from the South Bronx. And I just knew that I would be protected because I was always after doing the right thing. And even with this book, when I saw how damaged our men have become in our country, it's not even our country anymore, in our world where men are treated so poorly, I said, I have got to write this book. And I didn't even write the words. The words were channeled to me. I just wrote it. It took me a whole year. It's heavily imbued with data. I don't say, well, I think this and I think that. But what I did, instead of using legislators' names, because nobody knows who they are, I used pop culture. I used to write for the National Enquirer too. I was always in the tabloids as well. So I had my finger on the pulse as to what is going on. And when I saw Will Smith, for example, get crazed with all this internalized rage that has never been allowed to come out, was never given a channel to come out, I said, oh my God, I have got to talk about this. And I did. I spent a lot of time in the book tracing how he got to where he got. And finally, when he slapped Chris Rock, I traced that and I saw that. And Chris Rock was right. And this is in the book too. He said, he's not angry at me. He's angry at the way he was treated by his wife. And I said to women, this is a book that's being read by men and women. And I said to women, ladies, you must make it a safer place for men to talk without canceling them, castigating them, or castrating them. It's up to ladies. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing today is that many women have gone off the deep end. It's the younger women who elected Mondami. I mean, let's face facts. If the Republicans, if the people who elected Donald Trump would continue going after the men, they would continue winning elections. And I'm pleading out there for everybody to please go back to basics. It's the men that have the power that could put people into office. And if we keep trashing them, they are not going to put people into office who are good for us. So
Seen as, and Darren would probably agree that we get penalized anymore for being a middle-aged white male.
oh no, white men, forget my. This is all in the book. I honestly see a lot of people are afraid to speak about this, and one person who was reviewing the book said, "This is like a love letter to men," and it is. I understand. One guy said he was going to commit suicide. He had lost his woman. He had lost his income. He had lost his job. He had lost all his money. And he said, it was over for me. And he picked up the book and he said, I am not committing suicide now. I have hope. And boy, if I could save more lives, then I'm doing God's work. I would like this book to go into every high school, for every high school student to read, because it's all data that I have collected talking about what has happened to our men and what women can do to undo these horrendous things that are continuing today. A PhD wrote to me thanking me for speaking out. He said, I spoke out and I was fired. So you're speaking where I could not. I want to make this world a safer world for men to speak their truth. That's why when I look, I've worked with the major publishers. I have been published by major publishers. So I took this book and I went to the agent who I had earlier, and I said, I think this is your next bestseller. And she said, unfortunately, the publishing industry will not publish an anti-woke book. I said, who is the publishing industry today? And she said they're 30-year-old woke women.
There you go.
And they are controlling the publishing industry. I said, and the book had a different title. This is my South Bronx Moxie. The book had a different title. I said, well, if they don't want to publish anything anti-woke, I am putting the word woke in the title. I'm changing the title, and I will get this published by hook or by crook, because this is so necessary for men to understand. So that's what I did. And the subtitle is called The Book They Would Not Publish, The Truth That Must Be Told. Once again, we must never apologize for our background. I started out as a teacher in the South Bronx. I became a very successful management consultant and performance coach for corporate America on Wall Street to Main Street. And then television discovered me. And who knows what tomorrow's going to bring. But I've been in the media for years and years and years. There were new words I've never heard of before. They said, you are so photogenic. Then they said, you are so telegenic. Then they said, you are so mediagenic. I said, new vocabulary for me. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was just a teacher.
We're having a little bit of internet, so I'll have to edit that out. But
you went kind of fuzzy on us and kind of froze there for a little bit.
But we got most.
Now she's clear again.
Now you're clear.
Now she's not talking about the woke 30-year-olds and stuff. She's all cleared up because they had the woke 30-year-old curse on her. So
yeah, who's connecting to this internet right now?
Well, I'm curious because, based on what you're saying, there's a whole gamut of problems. I mean, we've got guys with purple hair and nose rings, and they're just, the masculinity's going away. But you mentioned the relationships between men and women. What is the biggest problem between the men and women today?
Well, it's a tremendous divide today, more so than I have ever seen. The young women are woke. They do not want families. They do not want men. The men are choosing to go more conservative. They do want families. They want to get married. They want to find women. How does this work? They're looking for women, and the women are saying, no way. Now, I was on Instagram because I'm on all the social media. I was on Instagram and I saw this woman write, "Oh, male suicides." Well, at least she was knowledgeable enough to know that that's a major factor. Oh, male suicides. And she had a little teardrop coming down. And another woman wrote, "The rates aren't high enough." And I couldn't believe my eyes. So then 7,000 women tuned into that and liked that post, that the men's suicide rates are not high enough. I was absolutely crazed. So I went on TikTok and I showed everybody this Instagram post with 7,000 likes, with these women saying it ought to be higher, the rate of suicide for men. And I received, because TikTok is heavily male, and it went viral, almost 70,000 likes and hits, and men started to talk. This is what has happened with the women shutting the men up and putting them down. The men have been silenced. They won't speak. They need to keep working. They need to keep their jobs, so they don't talk. And then the women complain, well, he doesn't communicate. Well, why should he communicate with you if you're just trashing him all the time? So these things have got to be ironed out. And I don't even know if we're there yet. You cannot cancel that which you want to communicate with. And you say you want to communicate with these guys, but it's obvious you don't. So let's get honest here.
I find it funny with what you're saying is back, what was it, probably within the last year or two, you had these leftist women coming on and say, we're going to cancel men. We're going to go on a sex strike.
It's like, you saw the pictures of the ladies go on a sex strike. I'm like,
they were getting
that's
sex
a blessing.
anyway.
That's a big blessing for those gals who I saw. That was definitely in the favor of the men. Gilda, I have to jump in here. I want to ask you, we all know the birth rates are down all across America. In your opinion, why is that?
I think that's already been answered. They're not getting together.
They can't get together. The men want to have families. The women don't. And the women are even wishing death on men. What the heck is wrong with them? And I honestly said that on this TikTok post that went viral. I said, what the hell is wrong with these women? Who are these women? Are these the women who are coming to me for advice? Because on my website, drgilda.com, I offer advice. People come to me for advice. How can I advise somebody to be more honest and more truthful with the men that they're meeting if in the back of their mind, all they want to do is murder them?
Gilda, when did this, I have to find out. I want to get to the root of this. When did this whole nonsense start, and what do you think caused it? What was the main hub for this, for these women to go down this path? Because I know it's been going on for a while, but how long has it been going on, and what was the main cause?
Floods our airwaves, but Faith and Freedom TV fights back with truth. Our bold content, news, shows, Bible teachings, worship, and films shines with biblical conviction and patriotic courage, free from globalist lies. We empower Christian patriot creators to share faith and liberty. Access thousands of videos on Roku, FireTV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS. Join the battle at faithandfreedom.tv.
Hey there, if you're sick and tired of the big three corporate cell phone carriers, we want to let you know there are options out there. That's why Randy and I made the switch to Patriot Mobile, because we wanted a company that shared our conservative values.
They have great customer service here in the U.S., and you have access to all three major networks. So don't worry about coverage, because coverage has been great. And you can rest assured that your dollars support freedom, not agendas. Make that switch today.
When you decide to switch to Patriot Mobile, we want to let you know it's absolutely seamless. All you have to do is go to patriotmobile.com/grit, patriotmobile.com/grit. Make the change today.
It's going on. It has been going on for quite a while, far more than we are aware of. And it's far more than I was aware of, because it must have been 20 years ago, maybe even longer ago. I was sitting in a New York audience. Again, nobody talked about politics. New York audience. I found myself in this audience. I didn't even know how I got there. One of my friends said, "Hey, when do we go to this event?" So I said, "Okay, fine." And I sat there, and these were National Organization of Women. And they were sitting there and saying the most horrendous things about men. And I'm listening to this. Remember, I don't know anything. I know nothing about politics. Know nothing about Republicans, Democrats. I could care less. All I wanted to do was my healing. So I'm listening to these women talk horrendously about men. I said, excuse me. So they called on me. I said, how many of you have male children? And a whole bunch of them raised their hands. And I said, if you continue using that rhetoric with your male children, they will pick it up and they will have such negative self-images as a result. And this is what we're seeing. This was 20, 30, I don't know how many years ago. And sure enough, I did a book signing for Real Men Don't Go Woke here in Scottsdale, Arizona. A lovely area. We have a well-to-do audience in front of me listening to this. Usually book signings are like 10 people, 20 people. We had such a huge number of people. We had to open the doors to let people hear this from the sidewalk. So I was telling them about the male suicide rate. Many had never heard of them, had never heard of this before. And I said, and unfortunately, the numbers are going down to our boys. And we have to watch this. As young as 10, young boys are committing suicide. So, okay, the book sold out. I was signing until my arm almost fell off. And then we said goodnight, end of story. Next day, I got a phone call from one of the organizers of this group. She said, I can't stop crying. My friend, my best friend, just lost her 13-year-old son to suicide while you were talking about this very thing, and nobody could believe this. It is attaching itself, the suicide rate is attaching itself to rich, poor, white, black, Asian. I mean, it's to every culture around. And I just thought it was in the United States. So I started speaking out and getting into trouble with a lot of these women's groups, but oh well. So I started speaking out, and then the president of the International Council for Men and Boys said, why don't you come and join this group? I said, okay, fine. This has everything to do with what I'm writing about. And then he said, why don't you become spokesperson for the International Council for Men and Boys? And I said, okay, but I'm a woman. And he said, exactly. And I have gotten more credit from different people who are saying, wow, that's amazing. You are a woman speaking on behalf of men? They couldn't believe this because so many of our women are putting them down. And I'm seeing what you're posting right now. Yes, boys and men. This is what you're showing right now. I have this. You're showing this on the screen. This is what you're showing. Men are behind. Look at all in 12 different arenas. Education, health, boys. I'm teaching MBA courses. And my students are mostly female now. Men are not going for higher education, and they're sick and tired of being called out for waking up in the morning and trying to walk out the door and being called toxic. And they're disgusted with it. And a man from Belgium, and this is, by the way, an international problem. This is just not in the United States. And a man from Belgium said, I get what's happening now, and I've heard about toxicity long enough, but I can't take it anymore. And now I have decided that I am becoming non-binary. Well, that's not going to help him. So what I found on TikTok is that while this guy dropped out into non-binary arena, what many men are doing today is leaving. They just don't want to be bothered with women. They don't want to date them. They don't want to be married to them. They, after divorces, and that's the law. I was just down in DC running a press conference for legislators to change some of these laws so that fathers can at least see their children, not every once in a while, not every weekend. I mean, we're trying from all angles to get things changed. It's a horrifying situation when a young boy, and we've already determined, we've seen all the stats, we've seen all the books about boys without fathers are falling apart. Well, great. So our system, our legal system here exacerbates that to say, okay, Dad, you can't see your child every single night to tuck him in as you're used to. Sorry, now you're divorced once every other weekend. And guys were crying to me. They said, what can be done? And that's what we are doing at ICMB. We are trying to change the laws. We need our fathers, we need our men, and women need our men. And men, instead of saying, I'm walking away from this, I'm not dating, one guy said, I am telling my kids, do not date, do not marry. Wow. I mean, this is not a lesson. And what they do not know, and I am getting out there in a big way talking about this, what they do not know is there are two different kinds of women. There are those women that we were just talking about. Those I call the mean girls. Many others call them the feminists, the Marxists. I'm not politically inclined. They are the mean girls. Everybody can understand that word. And then there are the real women, the women who love men, the women who cherish men, the women who adore men and want them to succeed and support them in their efforts. And those match the real men in my book.
Well, the website that Gilda was talking about when she mentioned ICMB, the website she was referring to was International Council for Men and Voice, ICMB. Gilda, we want to run through a handful of bullet points we have here that we had created before the show today. In your opinion, why is the sudden buy-in going on today for socialism?
The women are under the impression, it's the women. The women are under the impression that free is wonderful. Free? Free where you don't have to pay for anything? Let me tell you something. Basic facts. There is nothing in this world that is without a cost. Anything that is hard to get is worth it in the end. You work for your degree, whatever that is. If you go to a trade school, you work to learn your trade. You work, you study, you look to expand yourself. In the whole socialistic mindset, well, we could just sit back, eat bonbons, watch TV, smoke grass, and, do porn and gaming. And my parents' basement is a perfect place for me to do it. I don't have to do anything. I have no responsibilities. And I go through all of this in the book. So somebody comes along and says, here, you can have a world that you have always longed for free. Well, good luck, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing is for free. And when they find out what the cost is really going to be, and they will soon find that out in New York, good luck. New York was the capital of the world. New York was the media capital of everywhere. And I have seen that city fall apart.
So, I probably pronounced his name wrong, but Mandami.
Donnie.
Mamdani. Okay, so I think you'd sent me an article that his staff is all women.
Yeah, well, what happened? That's DEI for you.
Oh,
Women
yeah.
hire all women. Hiring all anything is the stupidest thing that has already been disproved.
Yep.
DEI cannot continue because it is not merit-based. Why should I work for something if my ascension in that organization is only determined by the color of my skin?
Yeah.
Why would I work for that? So what are we telling our children? Don't bother working. You can play in the sandbox for the rest of your days. And where will these kids go? And if they ever have children, who knows? These days, we don't know. But there's no such thing as free. Everything has a cost. And I think that from the president on down, we ought to be instructing people that free does not exist.
Amen.
No, there's a major cost to free.
Yes.
Well, you have kind of painted a light that I am glad that I'm not in my late 20s trying to find me a woman. And that I'm sure, Darren, we're both glad we already have our women, because I couldn't live in this world. And with that said, how do you suggest that the genders live peaceably together without changing your gender?
Oh, well, you know what? If somebody wants to change their gender when they're older, that's their business, and I don't care. I don't know these people. I don't have anything to do with them. But what I am so against is telling children, "Oh, you want to be a girl today? Okay, fine. We'll cut off your penis. It's all right." You don't do this. You don't allow kids to do this. And we know that the prefrontal cortex of the brain, the decision-making part of the brain, doesn't mature until the age of 25. And that's what we have all been taught when we studied this. But now scientists are coming out and saying, no, it doesn't mature until the age of 30. So you are finding people looking like boys, looking like girls, who are so immature because their brains haven't matured. And yet they decide, hey, mom, I want to do this and this. Now we go into the field of parenting. Parents today, many of them, think that it's okay to become friends with, not friendly towards, their children. So if the kid says, oh, I want to become a boy or a girl, okay, honey, okay, I'll take you to the doctor and we'll take care of this. You don't tell a child yes. Now, where are the boundaries? These parents need boundaries. The parents need to know what parenting is and what good parenting is. And it has nothing to do with being your kid's friend. So we can deal with it from the parenting element. We can deal with it from their friends all think that this is good and they're listening to their friends rather than their parents. Where are the adults in the room?
Well, I find something kind of odd now. Randy, when we were young, we turned 15, 16 years old, we were ready to start driving. I mean, the day we turned 16, we get a driver's license. We were out in the country roads driving. Nowadays, a lot of these kids, I know some 16, 17, they don't want to get their license. There's some that we know of that are 18 and 19, don't even have their license yet. They're still not driving. And I'm like, where did this whole thing come into play? It makes absolutely no sense to me, the watering down of the male with something as simple as just driving a car.
Why should they get a license when mommy and daddy will chauffeur the babies around as they please? The thing is, why should they do anything if they're going to get everything that they ask for? When I wrote the book that led up to this book is called this is for girls, when I was a love doc on MTV. Don't lie on your back for a guy who doesn't have yours. And the girls are all coming. Yeah, see, I tell it like it is. South Bronx Moxie. So the girls are all coming to me and they're saying, but doctor, I gave him everything he wanted and he still dumped me. I said, therein lies the problem. You're giving him what he wants. What do you want? What do you feel he deserves to get? What has he earned from you before you're giving it all away? I talked to young girls, I talked to young men, and they're hearing me, and they're loving the gospel here because they know they are not succeeding doing things their way. They are not succeeding. They're miserable, they're depressed, and the suicide rates are out of sight. It's horrifying. So I wrote this book, and they're coming to me, well, the guy still dumped me. And then I realized, how can I ask a guy to have their back when the men don't have their own? And I was at an event just recently. As a matter of fact, Andy Biggs, who's running for governor, who you've seen all over the news, he was at an event, a fundraiser, and I'm involved here with what's going on. And he and I were talking, and he said, I have a 25-year-old daughter. She said she can't find a guy. I said, yeah, well, I was just talking to 50 and 60-year-old women at the same event, and they said, I can't find a guy. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's not that they can't find a guy. They can't find a guy with a spine. They can't find a guy with a voice. And when the left comes after me and says, real men don't go woke. Well, you don't even use the word woke correctly. I said, let us not get involved in etymology. Let us get involved with the nature of what I'm writing. Real men don't go speechless. Real men don't go spineless. Do you understand? Because when you don't communicate, you hold it in, or of course you act it out like P. Diddy, Weinstein, or one of those obnoxious people, or you, instead of acting it out, you hold it in because you don't want to speak. And you've been told, don't speak, because you're being cut off so often. You hold it in. Nothing can be held in. You either become fat or sick or nuts. And eventually, the cork pops from the bottle. And we saw that with Will Smith when he slapped Chris Rock. You cannot hold in your emotions. So what I do in the book is show men the procedure in how to speak. Speak up, but don't get into trouble doing it. And you won't get into trouble if you follow my procedures. Don't get into trouble and walk away with your head held high, knowing that you did not hold in all these emotions to kill you.
Dr. Gilda, I'm sure people can get your book on various platforms, Amazon, et cetera. Let's go to your website real quick. Talk about what's on there and what people can find when they go there, how they can get your resources, possibly work with you, learn a little bit about more what you're doing and what you're offering for men.
Well, what I am is a strategist. I started off doing just relationships, but relationships are everything in our world. I go down to Wall Street and they say, well, the bottom line is not working. It's not happening. That was the book signing that I was talking about. The bottom line is not happening. And when I delve into the bottom line, I always find that it's an interpersonal relationship that is muddying up the waters. So I change that. Everything gets changed around. And suddenly, the bottom line soars. I was in one company on Wall Street, and I was working with one division, major Fortune 500 company. I was working with them, and at first, I said to the director when I was pitching him this program, and I said, I can guarantee that when they get finished with the program that I'm designing specifically for you, when they get finished, they will feel much better about themselves. And he honestly said to me, I don't care how they feel about themselves. I want that bottom line to work. I said, you do care about how they feel about themselves because that's going to lead to the bottom line.
Amen.
Sure enough, I didn't even think that he heard me. I thought, oh boy, South Bronx Moxie again. I think I talked myself out of a contract. 2 days later, he called me and he said, when can you begin? And I did that. And I was in that division for many, many weeks, months actually. And the bottom line soared. Every other division of this Fortune 500 company called me in to do for them what I had done for the original group. I know what I'm talking about. And I don't care who says, no, it can't work. No, it can't work. I'm an educator. I worked with the hardened criminals, little kids in the South Bronx who threatened to pull my chain off my neck. I said, I don't think so. I don't take no for an answer. I know we can heal our men. But I know women are at the heart of this. And I'm talking to women to let them know that they have to come to the side of the real women, not the mean girls. It will do so much for them and so much for all our interpersonal relationships. I want this book in all the high schools. I want men and women to feel good about themselves and about their relationships so that they can have a progeny that is proud to be a patriot with grit.
I tell you what, have you ever been an attorney?
That's so funny you should ask, because one of my friends is a trial attorney. She said, you have got to be a jury selector. You have got to.
I think that's the only thing you're missing here in this lineup of your career and your work history. Can you see her being an attorney, Randy?
Oh, I could. Yeah.
With that accent and that little fireball behind. Yeah. I've just never seen such a thing. Gilda, again, people can go to drgilda, drgilda.com to grab your resources or to work with you or to have you speak or whatever. People can also go to amazon.com, I believe, to get your book, Real Men Don't Go Woke. If you had one piece of great advice for our viewers, our audience, and our listeners today, what would that be?
Oh, that's easy. Love yourself so there's enough of a self that you can love somebody else. You never walk into a room with a small lowercase I. It's always capital I. I am proud to be an American. I am Dr. Gilda Carl. I am a man who knows where I stand.
I love
capital I.
Excellent.
I am a patriot with grit, Randy. I don't know about you, but you know.
Well, and I've not been subject to social emotional learning, so that I'm, I get offended easily. I'm soft. That's the problem with everybody.
Tell that to somebody else. Right?
No kidding. Well, Gilda, it's been a pleasure having you on here. I think, Randy, I need another book. I think I'm going to put this on my Christmas list. What do you think?
I think you need it.
I need another book. I have like 1,327. I think this should be my 1,328th book to go in my personal library. So I think I'm going to give this to my wife to get me for Christmas.
This is a book that saves men's lives. But in doing so, we're also saving women's lives. And we're making each other so much more, because being alone is not the answer. Being a duet is far better and healthier for you.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, Gilda, thanks so much for being on 100 Day. Appreciate you, everything you're doing. I mean, there are so many men, I think, we know people that are struggling in their identity. And, we've seen in this movement for the last 5 years, a lot of this, what's going on with the women and, running roughshod over men. And I just want to applaud you for doing what you're doing, because it needs to be out there. The message needs to be told. And so few are willing to do it, Gilda.
Well, especially a woman. And nobody, I get onto an interview show and somebody will say, oh, and she is the spokesperson for ICMB and she's a woman. Oh my goodness. I said, well, what do you know?
I'm surprised that's allowable.
These days, yes. Yes. But I have South Bronx Moxie, and I'm so grateful for my history. And I think this is one of the things when I work with somebody, I ask them, what is your history? Well, I used to work at Starbucks. I say, let's take that and use that to define your strength. And we scoop out the best parts of how somebody began so that we can use that as how they are today and in the future. It's beautiful for me because I watch people, open up like flowers. That's great. And then the men, and the men especially, are so successful. After they work with me, I mean, they're making so much more money. They're feeling so much better about their relationships. And so many of the men who come to me are being mistreated by the women they let into their lives. No. I talk about boundaries. They've never heard about that before. I talk about that capital I. They never heard about that before. I talk about being yourself, transparent. Stop putting on airs. You don't need the flashy cars. You don't need anything to define you, but your capital I.
Love it.
I love seeing what happens. I love it.
My wife's a little bitty Italian from St. Louis. I think I'm going to get her make her get this book, make her read it, so she treats me better, Randy. What do you think?
I would say definitely.
Yeah, I want her to treat me a lot better. Her name's Tony, by the way, so she's got the Italian name to go with it. But Gilda, thanks so much for coming on here today. And we just want to say appreciate everything you're doing. Again, drgilda.com, drgilda.com. Go there, check her out, and keep doing what you're doing, my friend. Thanks so much for being on here today. Hope to have you back in the future.
And access on Roku, FireTV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS. We're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission. The markets are in turmoil. Global trade disputes, government debt, and economic shifts are creating unprecedented uncertainty. Yet, gold and silver remain the ultimate safe haven assets, thriving when chaos reigns. Kirk Elliott Precious Metals empowers you to safeguard your future. Call 720-605-3900 or visit kepm.com/B2T to discover how to reposition your portfolio into low-cost, fully liquid gold and silver bullion. Unlike firms pushing overpriced rare coins, KEPM educates you, avoids high commissions, and charges nothing when you liquidate. With governments and banks scrambling, now is your chance to invest in assets that have stood the test of time. Join thousands who trust KEPM to protect their retirement with integrity. Call 720-605-3900 or go to kepm.com/B2T today to seize this historic bull market opportunity.
Hello, I'm Jordan, and this is my brother. And I'm Nace, and we're at the Grid Down Chowdown. And this is Larry, who is a local rancher that we've partnered with. Now, Larry, you've been ranching for over 4 generations, is that correct?
That's correct. I'm 3rd generation, my son's 4th generation, and I've got some grandkids that are 5th generation.
Man, that's awesome.
We've been here for quite a while, yeah.
All right, now, Larry, your cattle is grass-fed, grass-finished, and pasture-raised, just like God intended them to be.
Yes, because I want to know what's in that animal,
right?
What it's been fed, and so the only way to do that is for us to keep it all natural, just like God has done it for years and years and years, thousands of years.
How has partnering up with us helped you and your ranch?
Well, it's allowed us to develop a market that we didn't have before, one that can get directly to the consumer, and that's great.
And just remember, more importantly, with every package that you buy, we put a salvation track in there. So from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for allowing us to do what we believe that God has us here to do. And just remember, God loves you. He really does.
Transform your health with the power of light. Introducing the future of natural healing. Are you seeking a natural, effective way to enhance your well-being, reduce pain, and accelerate healing? If you're looking for quick fixes or ignoring the importance of natural health solutions, this might not be for you. Backed by years of research and testimonials from health professionals, our quantum energy infrared light harnesses the scientifically proven benefits of red and infrared light therapy. Designed for those who value holistic health practices, our device offers a non-invasive, drug-free method to support your body's natural healing processes. Visit QEstrong.com now to discover how quantum energy can revolutionize your health routine. Experience deeper sleep, enhanced muscle recovery, reduced inflammation, and improved skin health, all with just a few minutes of use each day. Don't miss out on the healing power of quantum energy. Visit QEstrong.com and learn more to take the first step towards a healthier you. Join the thousands who have already discovered the life-changing benefits of quantum energy. It's time to prioritize your health and well-being. Unlock the healing power of light.